we are not rare. But before you leave, you will perceive the lore will be unlocked. You might be stalked by a Sasquatch or a ghost witch, possibly even a ghost that will boast about knowing the Ohio grassman or even the Michigan dogman. Werewolves hunt, poltergeists are up front, but in these backwoods folklore is unlocked.
Welcome back to Folklore Unlocked. I'm Austin, and like always, I'm joined by Ethan.
Yep, hello again, everyone.
And this week, we are taking a look at Romulus and Remus, aka the creation story of Rome. And to start off with, we're going to talk about, Romulus and Remus and their birth and all that. And they were the twin sons of the Roman war god Mars, or in its Greek version, Ares, and the Vestal virgin Rhea Silvia, the fallen princess of Alba Longa and descendant of Aeneas of Troy. And through their mother's heritage, through Aeneas, they were also descendants of Venus, or more commonly known, Aphrodite. And their great uncle, so their grandfather's brother, so their mother's father, her mother's uncle, their mother's uncle, King Amulius, ordered them killed or at least exiled, seeing them as a threat to his rule after overthrowing his brother.
And the twins were, of course, saved. They were saved by the she-wolf, or the river god Tiberinus, and on the banks of Tiber River, and were cared for by the she-wolf, who suckled them in a cave that is known as Lupercal, and it was on the site that Rome would eventually be built.
So big shocker that they did found Rome, where they were ultimately more or less raised.
Mm-hmm.
And adoption and kind of a continuation of their early life. They were adopted by a shepherd named Faustulus and grew up tending the flocks of their adopted father, unaware of their true heritage, being the true heirs, or at least heirs to the throne, and being the sons of, the war god Mars. And they became natural leaders and grew a group of supporters.
So, yeah, it's probably good they didn't know their heritage, or they would have been killed, so.
Big time.
Their young adult years, so, they became intertwined in a disagreement between supporters of Numitor, their grandfather, and Amulius, and Remus was taken prisoner and sent to Alba Longa. Both the king and his grandfather suspected his identity, and Romulus had started a faction to rescue Remus, and both learned of their heritage.
So, like most stories in Roman and Greek mythology, the demigods do eventually learn of their true heritage. And restoring Numitor, they joined forces with their grandfather, Numitor, to put him back on the throne. Amulius was killed, thus restoring Numitor as king of Alba, or Alba Longa.
Then afterwards, they returned to the Seven Hills after Numitor, and this is where they planned to found a city which was eventually to be Rome.
But of course, like most siblings, they had to have a disagreement. And once Romulus and Remus returned to the site that they lived at and were saved, they each wanted to build the city on different hills. Romulus wanted to build on the Palatine Hill, which overlooks the Lupercal, and Remus wanted to build on Aventine Hill.
I'm sure Aventine Hill was wonderful, but I agree with Romulus.
Yes.
The resolution. So, when the brothers could not end the dispute, they agreed that they would seek approval from the gods via receiving omens from birds. So, basically, they were going to count how many birds they saw, and whoever counts the most, that's the hill that they would choose. And Remus saw 6 birds, while Romulus saw 12. So, Romulus claimed the favor of the gods, and Remus disputed the results.
Of course.
Yeah.
And, of course, it wouldn't be a story involving Rome if there wasn't even more death over a disagreement. And that all stems from Remus insulting Romulus's city, and either by Romulus or one of Romulus's supporters, Remus was killed. And Romulus proceeded to found Rome, and including but not limited to Rome's first laws, its religion, which if you know Greco-Roman history, it's basically the Greek pantheon, with most of them getting new names, like Ares becoming Mars and Aphrodite becoming Venus, like we've mentioned. And and Rome's government. And Romulus reigned as the first king of Rome.
And there is some pop culture to the story. So, Duel of Titans in 1961 movie. The First Kings, Birth of an Empire in 2019 by Matteo Rovere. And then there was a movie just called Romulus in 2020, which was also by Matteo Rovere. And apparently he dislikes Rome quite a bit.
Especially the founding of Rome.
Uh-huh.
Now, of course, there's other pop culture things that involve the Roman Empire, like Shakespeare's Julius Caesar, but that's not what we're talking about in this episode. We're just really talking about the founding of Rome. And on to our thoughts, I think it's an awesome story, but to be honest, it sounds just like your typical founding myth. That might hold some grains of truth to it, but probably not 100% accurate. Probably not really the twin sons of, a war god, but you never know.
Yeah, like Austin said, the story should not be taken as 100% accurate, but like most stories and myths, usually they kind of stem from some sort of truth to them, so there's a little bit of truth somewhere. And I really like the story. Like most people say, guys are always thinking about Rome, and that is partially true for me. So the founding story of Rome is very interesting. I mean, there were 2 brothers of gods, and they were like saved by a river god, and then also were suckled by a she-wolf, and then came to found like one of the like best civilizations in the world. So pretty cool.
Yeah, founded what probably is like the most famous empire or empires, if you want to include the Byzantine Empire as part of like a continuation of the Roman Empire, which could be argued.
It basically was. I mean,
Because it was technically the Eastern Roman Empire, so there's that, and Russia for a little bit claimed to be the third Rome, so two for sure empires, and then a possible third.
mm-hmm.
But I think with that, that's all we've got for this week. Next week, we'll be taking a look at the 23 Enigma, which, if you don't know, just stay tuned for next week. So with that, if you're on YouTube, thanks for watching. Leave us a like, comment, and subscribe. If you're on Spotify, drop us a follow and a comment, and we'll see you next week.
You might wake up beside Spearfinger with an extended visit from Jack the Ripper. But if you're lucky, it'll be an angel on that range hill of Louisiana. You might meet Rhea Silvia or the Romulus at Folklore Unlocked. Austin and Ethan concoct their theory of the eerie and unexplained around the world, sometimes even the underworld. The lore is locked behind secrets, the folklore is meant to be unlocked. The Sokoloo is haunting NC as well as Tennessee. There are many giants that might be clients of the Dark Watchers, who might have psychokinesis. And the phantom time hypothesis is like the phoenix, coming back around again and again. Though there's a strain on your brain if you've got more than two brain cells in you. Some believe McCartney is dead because they read into the Mandela effect, which is subject